Okay, second example from your lab, the third one. You had copper sulfate, which is a bluish tint, and then what did you add to it?
Sodium hydroxide.
Sodium hydroxide. Were they solids? Were they solutions? They were solutions. They were liquids. They were solutions. Aqueous. Aqueous. When I put them together, what did you get?
A precipitate.
A pretty bright blue precipitate in solution. So that means I had something that was solid and something that was still in solution. So on the other side, what did my copper go with? OH. What did my sodium go with? SO4. Okay, these symbols were given to me, so I know that they're correct. But now I need to check my charges here. So if copper sulfate has no subscripts, what's my charge of copper? 2. Because sulfate is 2. Hydroxide is 1. It's on your cheat sheet. Sodium is 1. It's on your periodic table. So now, what do I need 2 of here? Hydroxide. I need 1 copper. I need 2 hydroxides. What do I need 2 of here? Sodium. So I have 2 sodium. So step 2 is done. That subscripts are good. Now I have to balance it. So I have 1 copper, that's okay. 1 sulfate, that's okay. 1 sodium, 2 sodium. Not okay. I have to put a 2 here. So I have 2 sodium, 2 hydroxide, 2 hydroxide. So now everything is balanced.
So then can you just put that into the equation on the first equation, or do you want us to write it again like that?
Well, we're going to start with this. Then we have to figure out which one was the precipitate. In your book, there is a table towards the back, page 315. I have hydroxide and I have sulfate. So looking at that table, are hydroxides not going to dissolve? Or are sulfates not going to dissolve? Hydroxide. If I look at, nitrates are soluble, halides are soluble, sulfates are soluble. Hydroxides are usually insoluble. That means they what? They can't be mixed. So that means that this was my solid that stayed in solution. And if you've noticed in our labs, copper stuff usually has the bluish color. So that would make sense that your blue precipitate probably had copper in it. So now I know which one's a solid. So I am going to do my complete ionic equation. How many copper atoms? 1, and it has a +2 charge. How many sulfate ions? 1, and it has a -2. How many sodium ions? 2. How many hydroxide ions? 2, because that 2 in front goes through the whole thing. So I have 2 hydroxide ions. Opposite side. This is a solid. What do I automatically do with it? It stays the same. It cannot dissolve. So I write down CuOH 2. That does not dissolve. And how many sodium ions? 2. How many sulfate ions? Just 1. There's not a 2 in front. That 2 only goes with the sodium. There is a sulfate ion. So then I get rid of those spectators. What is exactly the same on both sides?
Sulfate.
Sulfate is a spectator,
Sodium.
and sodium is a spectator. And that's it. So then I write down my net ionic. I have a copper ion and 2 hydroxide ions that are going to combine and make copper hydroxide. That's all that I have left when I'm done with the whole process.